Obi-Wan Kenobi, a Jedi Master and High Council member, a General of the Republic during the Clone Wars, the man who trained and defeated Anakin Skywalker, trained his son Luke, one of the most powerful and legendary Jedis in Star Wars, and Disney has made a show about him. Now, if you think any of those credentials that I just listed off will be taken into consideration when writing his character for this, you couldn't be more than wrong. So I hope you enjoyed Luke in The Last Jedi, because that's exactly what they did to Obi-Wan here. Disney has no respect for previously established characters, but they have no issue using those characters as nostalgia bait or as pedestals to prop up their own characters and make them look better, because they turn everyone that we love into sad, depressed, angry hobo people, because Disney seems to hate characters that they didn't create, I guess. And like Luke in The Last Jedi, we're not going to refer to him as his character's name, because that's not Luke Skywalker. We're going to refer to Obi-Wan as Jake. I find it hilarious and frustrating that Disney preemptively had made a response to the criticism that this show was going to get, as well as perpetuated drama with the cast and crew by telling them to prepare themselves for backlash from racists and misogynists and to beware the toxic fandom. Why? Because Reva is black. That's it. I don't remember having an issue with Lando Calrissian. I don't remember having an issue with Mace Windu. Those are two characters that I think are awesome. I don't like the sequels at all, but I didn't have an issue with Finn. I did have an issue with how they treated his character by not giving him any sort of arc or really anything. I have an issue with how they treated John Boyega and how they shrunk his appearance on the Force Awakens poster for Chinese audiences, so Disney can make that sweet, sweet money, but we ignore that because it doesn't push the agenda that they want. And this is no different to how they responded to the criticism of the sequels by calling the fandom toxic. They were, racist and misogynists. They don't like Rey because she's a girl. They don't like Rose because she's a girl and she's Asian. It can't be the fact that the movies are bad. It can't be the fact that these characters are terrible. It's that the fandom is toxic. And this is just a side note, but the actress that plays Reva seems to think that she's the first black person to be in Star Wars. Like, come on, do a little bit of research, understand the role that you're getting into, understand the universe that your character is in. Just do a little bit of work. It's not that fucking hard. Come on. I will give credit where credit's due. Disney does know how to make a trailer because they know exactly what to show to excite people and pull them in. Manipulate them, if you will. But like everything they've done, it's a bait and switch. First of all, I'd be more willing to accept the events of this show as they portrayed them if this took place 1 to 3 years after, not 10. So Jake's a big stinky baby hermit man that works on a tuna farm or some shit. He hasn't used the Force or his lightsaber in 10 years. He allows people to get hurt. He allows fellow Jedi to die. He almost lets Uncle Owen die. Luke's uncle. Uncle Owen. He was going to let him die. Obviously, they can't do that because he's in A New Hope. But still, he was going to let him die. So for the past 10 years, he's been a tuna farmer man on Tatooine, watching over Luke. Leia is then kidnapped by pirates, and Bail Organa reaches out to Obi-Wan, requesting his help in getting her back. He says, no, I won't help you, because I'm not the same man that I used to be. So for the last 10 years, he hasn't used the Force, he hasn't trained with his lightsaber, he has done nothing to even just stay at the level he was at the Revenge of the Sith. But at the same time, he says, my responsibility is to the boy. You're refusing to help get Leia back because you're a sad, lazy hobo man who hasn't done any training in 10 years, but you want us to accept that you're supposed to protect Luke. How in the fuck are you going to do that? He's eventually convinced to go save Leia. They have a little adventure together, which contradicts the message that R2 has in A New Hope. Tell me where it says, several years ago, you saved me from space pirates.
General Kenobi, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars. Now he begs you to help him in his struggle against the Empire. I regret that I am unable to present my father's request to you in person, but my ship has fallen under attack, and I'm afraid my mission to bring you to Alderaan has failed. I have placed information vital to the survival of the rebellion into the memory systems of this R2 unit. My father will know how to retrieve it. You must see this droid safely delivered to him on Alderaan. This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Well, would you look at that? Nothing in there about Obi-Wan saving her from being kidnapped by space pirates. The entire second episode is Obi-Wan looking for Leia, finding Leia, and attempting to get her back to her parents. Leia being kidnapped was Reva's plan to draw Obi-Wan out. So Obi-Wan's being chased by Inquisitors and bounty hunters. Half the episode, Reva is doing parkour and gymnastics off of buildings because it looks cool, I guess, even though it literally served no purpose into getting her anywhere faster. Obi-Wan uses a blaster. He doesn't use his lightsaber at all. He gets in multiple gunfights with other bounty hunters. He's a terrible shot. He hardly hits anybody. There's one point where Leia's running away from him because there's a bounty out for him, and that makes her run away. She jumps off a building because she's stupid, and Obi-Wan is shooting at two different bounty hunters on two different roofs. He kills one of them. The other one is still shooting at him. He jumps to the side to force pull Leia up to keep her from dying. That bounty hunter just stops shooting and completely disappears. Fast forward a little bit. They're trying to get to an automated barge so they can escape off planet. There's a whole rooftop scene where Obi-Wan's hiding behind some boxes and Reva is literally going, "Obi-Wan, come out to play." Which is lame, but is not the issue. She brings up how taking him in would please Lord Vader, which if you're smart, you would know that Obi-Wan associates the name Vader with Anakin because he's referred to as Vader by Palpatine and Yoda in Revenge of the Sith. Disney thinks the fans are retarded, so they proceed to just spoon feed you information by having Reva provide information she shouldn't fucking have. She says to Obi-Wan, "Oh, you didn't know? Anakin's alive." Like she knows Anakin's Vader. How the fuck does she know that? Why would she know that? No one should know that. There's a very small amount of people who would be aware of Vader's identity. Obi-Wan thinks that Anakin is dead. My issue with this show taking place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, there is no way that Obi-Wan in 10 years would have never heard of Vader. 10 years under Empire rule, the right hand of the Empire, Darth Vader, there is no way he wouldn't be aware of Darth Vader's existence. If it was a year or two, I would have a much easier time believing that he has never heard of Darth Vader. But 10 years, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't, and that's what's frustrating. It's they hit you with this 1-2 thing. How the fuck does Reva know the true identity of Darth Vader, and how the fuck after 10 years does Obi-Wan not know that Darth Vader even exists? Going into the third episode, this is where the show completely goes off the rails. They make Obi-Wan more of an idiot and more of a coward. They're going to this location to be picked up or assisted or whatever. They get to the location that was provided. They're there for a total of 4 seconds, and Obi-Wan starts freaking the fuck out, saying, "Nobody's coming! Oh my god!" And the 10-year-old is the one with all the logic. She's like, maybe they're late. Maybe we should wait a little bit. And Obi-Wan's just having a fucking conniption. It's so stupid. So they end up getting on this truck driven by a mole man, and Obi-Wan's like, "Leia, your name is Luma, and my name is Gordon," or some shit, and we're from Tall. We're farmers. If anybody asks, we're visiting family, and you don't talk. Guess what happens? She fucking talks the whole damn time. They come across some stormtroopers who need a ride just up the road. So they get in the back and they start talking to Obi-Wan and Leia, asking them where they're from, why are they here, so on and so forth. Leia starts asking some questions, which causes Obi-Wan to shit his pants and lose his cool for some reason, and proceeds to yell at her and says, like, "Stop, Leia," or something of the sort, literally calling her Leia. Obi-Wan is a moron in this episode. The stormtroopers are looking for a Jedi and looking for a kidnapped child, a senator's child named Leia. Obi-Wan, in front of 4 stormtroopers, calls her Leia. The dude literally responds to that with, "You called her Leia! Holy shit!" And he's somehow able to just talk himself out of it. They don't try to get any information from him. They don't try to, like, scan him or pull their guns on him. He's just like, "I'm old and I forget things sometimes." And they're like, okay. I'm sure there's going to be idiots out there that are going to try and say, "Oh, he used his force powers to manipulate them." No, he didn't. He hasn't used the force except for once. He hasn't used the force in 10 years. What makes you think he's able to do something to that extent after not using it for 10 years? Stop fucking making things up to make things make sense. The truck pulls up to a checkpoint which has stormtroopers on there. These stormtroopers have brains and proceed to scan Obi-Wan, which causes him to react and shoot the droid that's scanning him, shoot all the stormtroopers that are around, and he doesn't miss a shot. Hours before that, he was shooting at bounty hunters and missing. Now he's a fucking beast. Why? People are going to say, well, he started using the Force, so he's still using the Force. Whatever, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. He goes up to the security gate, shoots the control panel to get the security beam to come down. There's a wide shot before the whole shooting scene where you see the truck coming up to the checkpoint. You can see that there are gaps around the security gate. There was no reason to shoot the control panel. You could have walked around. This show is awful. Then a transport with more stormtroopers shows up. Instead of shooting at these stormtroopers like he did the other ones, just surrenders. He gets on the ground, they surround him, and an Imperial officer shoots them all, and lo and behold, she's a spy lady that was supposed to pick them up. She was running a little late. So again, Obi-Wan's a moron. He could have waited like 10 minutes in the spot that he was told to, and everything would have been fine. But no, we need the episode to happen. The lady takes them to a mining town or something. I think her name is Tala, or Tall, I don't remember. She takes them to a safe house, which has a secret entrance to the underground Jedi Railroad tunnel system or something. Stormtroopers and the Empire just happen to know that Obi-Wan's there. Somebody saw a Jedi come in this camp, quote unquote, which leads us to the moment that everyone is shitting their pants over. The entrance and introduction of Darth Vader. The big man himself comes down to this tiny mining town with the hypothetical information that Obi-Wan is there. We get this really stupid scene that I fucking hate. Obi-Wan is just staring at Vader through a peephole in a wall, and Vader just starts killing civilians, which is ridiculous. Vader is a ruthless person, but I don't agree with the fact that he would just start fucking killing people for no reason. Anytime, like, just watch the movies. Anytime that he has killed anybody, there's been a reason. Either they've disappointed him, or they failed him, or he's doing it under orders. He doesn't kill people for the sake of killing people. It doesn't make any sense. If he was torturing people with the intent to draw Obi-Wan out, that's something. That's something that I can attempt to get behind. Just killing random people for the fuck of it doesn't make any sense. That's not Vader's character. And again, Obi-Wan's a big baby. He just watches all this happen. He tells Spy Lady to take Leia and to go, and that he would distract Vader. He goes out face to face with Vader, pulls his lightsaber, he doesn't ignite it, and then he runs away. And he does that like 4 times. Congratulations, Disney. You've managed to fuck up 2 of the most popular legacy characters. Fantastic job. After running away like 4 times, Obi-Wan ignites his lightsaber to use it as a fucking flashlight because he can't see Vader. He can hear him, though. And that was probably the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It's dark as fuck. You're trying to run away from somebody, and you just turn your fucking flashlight on. Come on. They finally get to the actual lightsaber fight, which is... It's hardly a lightsaber fight. It's hands down the worst lightsaber fight in Star Wars. The choreography is bad. It looks cheap. It's super clunky, and it just doesn't look like anybody gives a shit. And the dialogue between these 2 characters is horrendous. It's absolutely abysmal. You get to write dialogue for Obi-Wan and Vader 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. And the shit that came out is so dumb. It's just emo, depressive bullshit. You could have come up with so much stuff that would have expanded upon their characters and where they're at, like, mentally. And the best that you could come up with was, I am what you made me, I will make you hurt, I will give you pain, blah, 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 I am sad, angry, emo, edgelord. It's so fucking basic. Kylo Ren, how he was treated and how his character is not Darth Vader. But that's what you guys did. It's stupid. We go into the next part, which is horrible. Vader grabs Obi-Wan with the Force, and he just holds them there, and I guess he just can't do anything, which is a really stupid decision. He then lights the ground on fire and proceeds to drag Obi-Wan through the flames so he can burn like he burned on Mustafar. He stops doing this for some reason. He just force pushes him away, which extinguishes the flames, says to the group of stormtroopers by him, bring him to me. The spy lady that saved Leia shoots one of the stormtroopers. It's the middle of the night. It's a bright blue laser comes flying through the sky and hits this stormtrooper. Nobody knows where it came from. It's retarded. She then shoots a barrel which reignites the fuel that was already lit, and Vader and the stormtroopers just stand there and look at Obi-Wan through the fire that was already there, that Vader extinguished, and allowed a robot that walked at a speed of 4 miles an hour to just pick him up and walk away and just let him escape. I've seen so many people on YouTube and Twitter, Reddit, wherever, defending this scene, saying that Vader let him go on purpose. No, he didn't. You expect me to believe, after 10 years of searching for this man, he just lets him go. That's not how it works. It's not even how the scene makes it work, because he tells his stormtroopers, bring him to me. If you have to come up with reasons and details and scenarios and shows and movies that help certain scenes that you watched make sense, then there's an issue with the writing. Your headcanon doesn't make things work. It worsens it, and it makes you look stupid. I understand that people want to like this stuff because it's characters that they like, it's an IP that they like. You're allowed to like something and still critique it. You're allowed to dislike certain aspects of things you do like, but be aware of what it is. Be aware that it has its faults, it has inconsistencies. Don't tell me that it's a good show, and don't tell me that it's because I'm racist or I'm a misogynist. I'm part of the toxic fandom because I don't like something that you do. You're allowed to like what you like, but don't try to convince me that something is good and then call me toxic for providing reasons as to why it's not. And I'm not the only person that feels this way. There's a lot of people that aren't happy with the direction of this show and how the characters are being handled. especially after this third episode. Go to Rotten Tomatoes, look at the reviews for this show, and look at the dump that it took after this episode aired. People aren't happy with how the characters are being handled. And Disney can try and perpetuate whatever drama they want. It doesn't change the fact that this show is riddled with convenience, the characters are stiff and poorly written, and as a whole, it's disrespectful to the story that was previously set in place.